more on women entrepreneurs and giving back, I sat down with global fashion designer Tory Burch. Tory launched her fashion line back in 2004 and just 5 years later created the Tory Burch Foundation, helping women entrepreneurs get access to capital and business education. Last year, Tory took her foundation to Shanghai to spark a conversation about female entrepreneurs, not just here in the U.S., but also across Asia. I started off by asking Tory what inspired her to set up her foundation.
So I have always been thinking about philanthropy, even since I was little. I was raised in a family that really loved giving back and helping people. But when I started to think about a business, it was part of the business plan from day one, is starting a foundation. So I went to fundraise, and I would say to the people I went to present the plan to that I wanted to start a global lifestyle brand so that I could start a foundation. And they looked at me like I was a bit insane and said, don't ever mention business and philanthropy or social responsibility in the same sentence. And I just thought that was an interesting thing that I could perhaps go the other way and make it really part of the DNA of our brand.
Did that sort of advice deter you at the start?
Not at all. In fact, it made me want to do it even more. And I thought, you know, it would be such a great thing if that I could build a big brand, not knowing if it would ever resonate or not. But if it did, that at some point I would start a foundation. And it was a wonderful thing to be part of the conversation internally. I was very concerned about using it ever as marketing, so I wanted it to be part of the DNA of who we were. And we also could give back in different ways. It didn't have to be a financial commitment, so it was about time. It was about the way you treat people. So it was sort of becoming very much part of our culture.
What sort of impact has the foundation had till date?
From a financial impact, we have helped women get access to over $5.5 million in cash. But also, we have a very large mentoring community, and we have mentoring events that is sort of like speed dating, where we have great business minds and leaders in industry come and speak to entrepreneurs. And that's been a really wonderful thing, as well as a new website, Tory Burch.Foundation.Last. And that's hopefully going to be the go-to place for women entrepreneurs to access information on loans, on mentoring, on education, et cetera.
When you're deciding, you know, what avenue to give back in, of course, the choice is ample. So what made you decide that it was particularly women that you wanted to focus on?
Well, I knew that from day one that our foundation would be about women and children, and that's because women are the cornerstone of our community. They are the first to give back to their families and to their communities as well, and they're often single parents. They're single mothers and taking care of their families, but they're also great entrepreneurs. And so I knew it'd be about women and children. When I realized what I could best help with women, I had done a startup, so I had that information. I had the knowledge of how difficult it is for women to start a business, and it's a lot more so for women than men.
When you were starting out 11 years ago, did you find yourself facing challenges that you perhaps find yourself solving today?
Oh, yes. I mean, so many challenges I had never imagined. Personal challenges, going through a very public divorce is not fun, but also managing to work on raising 3 boys at that time, and also a startup of a business that was gaining momentum and growing very quickly. So it was very frenetic, but the good news is when I am exposed to a lot of things happening at once, I become more focused. And it was something that was very challenging, but you know, it was a hard time, but with my friends and family, that was a big help as well. And having our business helped.
What were some of the challenges that you faced?
Well, I think in a lot of people, when I first started the collection, because I didn't really talk about it before we launched it, but after thought it was a flash in the pan, and there was a lot of naysayers. And my parents taught me that negativity was noise, and that's something that I kept with me throughout those years, and I still do. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that have negative viewpoints, and that's just something I steer clear of.
Do you think the challenges women-owned businesses face differs to men-owned businesses?
Well, there are many challenges that women face that men don't, whether it's access to capital or having the capital that men have to start their businesses. One challenge after another. I think, women have to support each other, and that's something I truly believe in, but men have to support women too. I think it can't just be a women's issue, but equality is a given in my eyes. If it's the same quality of work, it should be equal pay, and that's not about gender, it's about the quality of work.
Philanthropy and business is two separate entities, but surely at some point the two must mix. How has the foundation helped the business?
I think it's essential that philanthropy is part of business. And I never realized when I had the idea of having it part of the business plan from the beginning that it would be great for the bottom line. And as it turns out, it is. And that's the thing. It's attracting people to want to work in our company. It's great for our employees, but it's also great for our customer. And people like to feel that the company they're supporting is doing great things. And it's not something we actively promote. It's not something we have marketed, because I want it to be very substantive and really do great work.
Through all your mentorship of women and helping other women entrepreneurs, what's sort of the common thread that you've noticed across most of these women?
I think women have to believe in themselves and really gain confidence that they have a wonderful idea or business. And that's not a problem with men. I think that's something that I too, when I first started, it was a risk. I didn't want to use my name, and I tried to get 10 different names because I didn't, first of all, had no design experience, no business experience. So it was a risk. Women aren't that crazy about risk in general. So I think if it's measured risk, it's a great idea, but I also think they need to believe in themselves.